Because says hell no to the poll. Okay, thank you so much, Mo Gaines. All right, that's the final there, Rich. You can do your tally now.
All right, so our poll this morning was, are you satisfied with the measures that the state have in place for preventing guns getting into the country? We had 28 people voting on the poll this morning, and of the 28 people, 25 said no, they are not satisfied with the measures that are in place for preventing guns getting into the country. 3 people said yes, they were satisfied. So it wasn't, a total obliteration. 3 people did say yes, they were satisfied. 25 people said no. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day and through all programming, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, which would be Friday.
Friday. Gotta love a Friday. Oh Lord, what you mashing up there, Richard?
Yeah, so that's it in terms of our poll this morning.
Yeah, somebody had sent me. I'm trying to remember who it was. All right, yeah.
Did you talk about the dogs on the runway yesterday?
Remember yesterday we
Well, I remember you were saying something was wrong because flights were being diverted out of Piarco, but it turned out to be
I tell you what happened, because when somebody told me check to see what's going on there, and I saw the Tobago flight and was just circling out in the Gulf, and then I saw the Curacao DHL flight, which normally comes to Port of Spain and then goes to Barbados, and he was circling, and then I decided to listen to the control tower via the app, and I heard the pilot of the DHL.
Is that legal?
It's an app.
Is it legal?
Yeah, it's an app. It's atc.net. You can go on your website and check it out. Okay. So I listened and I heard the DHL pilot asking the tower, are the dogs still on the runway? And then I heard the control tower saying, well, they're rounding them off now. You'll give us 20 minutes. So he just, instead of circling, he said, well, you know what, let me just go to Barbados. So he did that, and the Tobago flight went back to Piarco.
As we celebrate 60 years.
Yeah. Went back to Crown Point, sorry.
2 stray dogs.
A tree fell on the electricity line and blocked out the country, and stray dogs shut down the airport.
Yeah.
For
over an hour.
It was about 2 hours, wasn't it?
Was it just 2 hours?
About.
Yeah.
Did you see the memes?
Oh, the memes were hilarious.
With the dogs and Fitzgerald Hines.
Talent on this country, you know.
With the dogs and Fitzgerald Hines, hear me? Wow.
Yeah.
You're not easy in this country. You'll have a lot of time on your hands.
We have some serious talent. I had to laugh.
The dogs were having a field day because that's like this big expanse of land, and they're saying, and
how the dogs get out in the first place?
How they got in? I don't know.
How do stray dogs get away? How do stray dogs get away any part of Trinidad and Tobago, Paul? There's stray dogs across the country taking walks casually every morning. Some of them qualify as gangs because they move like a gang. Yeah. They almost want to intimidate you when you're passing them, but they kind of leave you alone. And there's a kind of arrogant look to it. We're not on you. That's your way.
A gang of stray dogs.
Yes. Are you saying you don't see them sometimes?
Well, I see groups of stray dogs.
Yeah.
I do not know they're involved in gang activity. They may be, not aware.
They may be carrying illegal weapons too.
What do you mean? That could have been a distraction for some guns to come in yesterday. Release the dogs now.
You're not far from
Who
what
let the dogs out? I should play that song. Who let the dogs out?
Please don't.
I prefer my version.
Wow, he's going to play Who Let the Dogs Out.
I'm not going to play that. I prefer to sing it for you guys. Who let the dogs out? Oof.
Well, you prefer to do whatever you're doing there, I mean.
Listen, if I sing, I make millions.
So, I don't know. I think like city and village departments have just given up on the whole issue of stray dogs. Some of them used to have stray dog department
departments, yeah.
Well, they
that
say the
dealt with
corporation,
it.
the
Like they've
corporation.
just given up. I don't know. I just assume they've just given up, but I don't even know what's going on in Arima. I don't even know
Yeah,
what's going on in
but you
Arima
know
Borough
what? It has
Council.
actually gotten worse with the pandemic because now that people cannot afford and prices for food has gone up. So what they do, they just open the gates and let the dogs out. Or they go somewhere and let the dog out. That's what that is.
That's unfortunate.
It is. It's and it
There has
just
to be a minority of people.
Yeah, because we
That
generally,
must be-
I
that
don't
must
see
be-
that many stray
that
dogs
must
to be
be-
very honest. You see
That
stray
must be
dogs.
less than 1%.
I don't know the percentage, but I know a lot of people are doing that. But a lot of people rescue them as well. A lot of people are letting huskies out because they're high maintenance and can't afford it. So it is sad.
So why would you buy a husky, which is a very expensive dog,
Um,
and then let it out? Because huskies are pretty expensive.
and that's it. You see, they go after the cuteness factor, the color of the eyes. Oh, this dog.
But
is
the eyes are blue, not so?
Yeah, and they're blue and what different colors.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah. And but when they realize, well, I can't afford, and you see, when they give them the lower end food, their fur drops, they don't gain weight, and they get sick. And then you want to go by a vet, and then well, they are vets, and then they are vets, and then some vets will charge you an enormous price. Not like Dr. Gooding comes to the pet butler this afternoon and every Thursday.
Who is
That's
coming
right.
here at 8 o'clock, by the way.
Oh, he's coming by you at 8? Okay. Yeah, he's an amazing vet, I will tell
Yeah,
you.
he's a very good vet.
He's
If you're
amazing.
looking for a really good vet who is not in it for the money, who clearly loves animals
Yeah, yeah.
and provides a service of care to your animals or your dogs in particular, Dr. Gooding is very, very good.
Yeah, because he used to say about Empress as well. And, when it came to Empress, I was very finicky. So he used to say about Empress. So when I approached him, he said, yeah, sure. So he'll be there. He'll be there from 4 o'clock today, not 3 o'clock, but from 4 o'clock today. And we have some appointments already for today. No, but he's very good. He's very compassionate. And what I liked about him is that he explains everything clearly so that you can understand. That's what I like about him. So he's in at the Pet Butler this afternoon. Free plug. And we're in Kirap, number 1 Harris Street in Kirap, right off the Southern Main Road. Free plug.
And you have no tickets for no plays now?
America Dance is coming soon to a theater near you. I will let the folks know that.
Ragoobarsingh is clearly frozen. Or you was looking up in the sky for that long?
No, we have no
Or you
plays
fell asleep
on.
with your eyes open?
No. We have no plays on as well. I shouldn't say we have no plays on. We have no plays on as yet.
And I said it's coming soon.
So
I didn't say
I'll
when.
keep you all- I will keep you all informed as to when the next production is due.
All right. I'm going to make a call here and see if I get someone to come on.
Let's open the phone lines.
Yeah, we can do that by the time.
Oh, another newspaper has talked about government reveals plans for year-long activities.
Well, I hope we are
After the fact.
celebrating because
After the fact.
at 60 we have a lot to celebrate, quite frankly, I believe.
Well, it said updates will continue to be shared across all available platforms.
But I hope they start from the 1st of next month because I think we should be building into the 60th independence celebration.
Exactly.
Maybe they have a different plan, you know.
Well, they're having a
we
local
just
competition and all of that.
we are just mortals, you know. So, did you see that full moon last night?
Oh, that movie.
I didn't see the super moon because by the time I saw, of course, I forgot about it, and then I saw some updates.
But if you went
on
outside last night, you
social
couldn't miss
media.
it.
You couldn't miss it, Richard.
No, but when I
was-
went outside, I must have went outside. When I went outside, the moon was normal size.
No, it was
the
really.
closest that the moon will be.
It
to
looked
the
like it
earth.
was right hovering over.
Yeah, it
When
was
I went outside,
quite
it was normal.
close.
So I think I missed the point at which it was a super moon.
No,
You sure you were on Earth, or did they transport you back to your home planet and you saw it from there.
No.
You know, they move you around.
Yeah, but we have several moons. So one little moon only have squatting in the sky. And all
Right,
very
let's
proud
grab
of.
this
It's
call,
not a
gentlemen.
big deal.
Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
You shut me up there. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Just engaging the same conversation about the detection of these guns, right? And I'm quite amazed, and I find it a bit kind of hypocritical, if I may use that strong word, that we tend to criticize and watch in amazement what's transpiring in the United States in terms of trying to understand why it is that they can't pass legislation to prevent these use of these guns, right? So easily. And what amazes me is that the problem here is not really the detection in terms of these illegal guns, because you see on a regular basis where persons are being held. The problem is that the stiffer penalties for those that are being held, especially those with these high-powered rifles and the AK-47s, etc. And I'm quite puzzled that when legislation is brought before Parliament, especially the one that was brought in terms of the use of these high-powered rifles, that it wasn't passed. And if you watch on social media on a regular basis, these persons are actually showcasing these. So it's not that they are fearful of being detected. They know for a fact that when they are found, they are out the next day on bail, right? And they continue, because if it is that you recognize that the majority of the vast amount of Trinidadians, their fear of crime has to do with the possibility or the risk of being murdered. And if it is that you are being murdered, the fear of being shot. So I am hopeful that someone or this legislation is being brought again, and this issue being addressed, because it can be that 80%, over 80% of the crime in terms of murders are done by guns, and these persons are held for these guns and out on bail the next day. And how it is I could afford a gun for $40-something thousand, a high-powered rifle, yet your bail is less, right? So hopefully common sense will prevail in this aspect. And I hope that the discussion...
All right. Thank you, caller.
What he really didn't want to say is that he found it hypocritical that everybody didn't vote for the bail bill, but he was being kind and polite. Am I wrong? You're muted for some reason. Not hearing you, Richard.
I don't know if that's what he was getting around to.
Well, he said when legislation is brought with bail, it wasn't passed. So hopefully common sense will prevail next time. So he really wanted to say that. He was really throwing it at me. But he didn't really want to come out and say that.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm getting my guest online here now, gentlemen. So we'll just put him on. All right, so let's get our guest online, and let's say good morning going out to Mr. Saren Richards. What's happening?
Recording in progress.
Yeah, pleasant good morning to you, Steve, and pleasant good morning to all your cast and your listeners.
Yeah.
Fine. Morning, Saren.
That's Paul Richards.
Hey, Paul Richards. Paul
here, I didn't answer your phone. Where's that one?
God, pleasant
Yeah,
morning
what's
to
that
you.
one there, Saren?
Oh, my God. Well, I was pretty busy on Tuesday.
Oh, you do?
Things came up that I had to deal with. Yes, I know I missed that call.
All right, but you're here now. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Richard.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, good morning.
And that's Richard Ragoobarsingh. That's what's on the show this
Yeah,
week.
good morning, Richard. How are you going?
So you wanted to primarily discuss, I think, a couple of things, one of which being the legislation that's supposed to come before the Parliament to enable prisons officers under certain circumstances to take their licensed weapons home to protect themselves under threat from the criminal elements. No, but not a threat because officers have died.
Well, it's not licensed weapon. It's weapon issued by the prison service.
Yeah.
It is not coming out of any firearm user's license. It is just simply to amend the legislation so that the Commissioner of Prisons will have the power to afford an officer to take home his service firearm.
That is not allowed right now?
Well,
Not for all officers.
The situation has reach a glitch based on a legal hearing and a legal matter. And I don't want to get into that, but the Minister of National Security would have promised us since last year, in anticipation of that judgment, that the government will move speedy, without alacrity, to treat with that issue by amending the Firearms Act so that the provisions will be made for the commissioner to exercise that power. To date, we are in July of the next year, and nothing yet has been done, and officers are suffering and going through pain, psychological pain and trauma of not being able to be afforded the ability to protect themselves via the Commissioner of Prisons going forward. And
how is the psychological pain manifesting itself? Is it that you're getting increased threats?
Of course, officers are getting threats on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, right now in the maximum security prison, I was made to understand that there are officers who are not presenting themselves based on psychological trauma, based on the threat of the environment, based on what is happening in a particular area of the maximum security prison. They are not presenting themselves until and unless the prison administration take corrective steps to treat us some of the major life-threatening issues that are being brought to bear inside of there. And I will tell you something. Inherent in any prison system, you would know across the world, there will be risk. But the risk that officers are facing in Trinidad and Tobago is unlike any other risk any part of the world. It is a reality. Trinidad and Tobago has the highest rate of prison officer killings anywhere in the world, and this is not even per capita I'm speaking about here. This is not even per capita. Look at the size of Trinidad and Tobago. Look at the size of the prison service. Look at the size of the prison population in comparison to North America and all these things. And look at what is happening here in relation to what is happening in those other countries. And wherever in those other countries, law enforcement officers are killed, decisive and immediate steps are taken to protect the lives of officers going down in the future. Not so in Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lazy Ministry of National Security Department manned by a minister who apparently doesn't care. Because no amount of words could get Mr. Fitzgerald Hines to act how he's supposed to act in the interest of the prison service and by extension the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago through the treatment of prison officers and inmates in the system. We are not getting the minister to act.
You just said the Minister of National Security
That's
doesn't
some pretty
care.
strong words. I know over the years there's always been some level of frustration from time to time with respective ministers of national security, Saran.
Work with Mr. Fitzgerald Hines.
Wow, that's very condemnatory.
Let me tell you something, Paul. Let me tell you something. And I want to wrap your mind and Trinidad mind around this phenomenon. We have existing in the prison service areas that are lacking spending. Officers are sleeping in dormitories. If you only visit those dormitories where officers are being made to sleep, where officers are being housed when they are off duty on work itself. If you visit those dormitories as sights to be seen, you will wonder where they're getting the motivation for even coming to work. Where they're getting that motivation from. If you look at how monies are being spent, right? The minister is saying they have no monies to spend on those dormitories. The extent to which the commissioner of prisons, the current commissioner of prisons, is walking around with a hat at the maximum security prison, begging officers to put up money to fix that dormitory. Begging officers, saying that if they put up half the money, he will match the other half using the canteen money and so on. And do you know, while all that is going on, we still have contracts being issued unnecessarily, erroneously so, that has no return on investment and millions of dollars being spent. And one contract, I can tell you, and it is a fact, and I dare anybody to doubt what I'm saying, the security services that is transporting inmates to and from clinics. We talk about them transporting inmates inside the prison compound from one building to another building, charging exorbitant fees and so on. It has now since moved to clinics right around the corner from Golden Grove. right in Arima, in prison environments, where prison officers, the drivers used to do that work. Millions are being spent, millions upon millions are being spent for that work to be done. When those monies could have been easily channeled to areas that we need them, that we need those funds. And
Are you saying, Saran, that the dormitory conditions for officers are suboptimal? Because the Minister of National Security recently indicated that investment has been done on the remand section to improve the conditions. Is that accurate from your perspective? And
I'm talking about the officers' dormitory.
Let me just finish. And is it that you think an overall upgrade of the facilities should have taken place?
That's correct. Paul, we are not spending monies with any priority that will make a difference. Paul, monies are being allocated in areas where the prison officers, the prison service drivers can easily do that job. They are naturally starving the prisons of resources in order to issue contracts. So we have hundreds of drivers. We have drivers in the garage. I work as a prison supervisor with a deployment of 11 drivers that I cannot use because we have no vehicles. We haven't updated our prison fleet in over 10 years, in over a decade. They haven't updated prison fleet. And the reason why they are doing that, they are constructively providing the environment to give contracts.
Now you're saying to give contracts. Of course, the company is the company Amalgamated Security?
Yes, Paul. Yes, there's only one company doing that work. And Paul, I don't know who is in charge of Amalgamated. That is not my business. But here what I do know. That contract is taking monies from other areas where monies can be better spent. Because that contract is totally unnecessary. Because prison service drivers can do that job. If the government will only update the fleet, imagine we asking the minister, we begging the minister, please update our fleet. And all we are getting from him is that here's what, the government has no money. The government has no money. The government has no money to pay officers overtime. The government has no money to update prison fleet. The government has no money to fix dormitories. The government has no money to give prison officers the medical as per terms and conditions of employment. But you know the one thing the government have money for? Make a big guess, Paul.
I don't know.
To spend monies unnecessarily on a private security company to the tunes of millions, to transport inmates just around the corner from Golden Grove, just the Arima Hospital. Paul, that is wanton wastage of the public purse. Prison officers can do that job. We traditionally do that job with no problems at all. Just purchase the vehicles. We have abundance of drivers getting paid and almost have nothing to do. While we paying a company to do the work that the driver is supposed to be doing and paying them millions. So we paying the company millions and we also paying the prison service drivers monies every month. That is wastage. And all other areas are remaining unattended. And the Minister of National Security, don't matter what language we use, to bring that point to him, he is sitting there almost as if he's in a state of stupor or hibernation. We are not getting the results. Officers are still complaining. They are complaining more and more by the day. Right in the maximum security prison, there are officers who are not going into a particular division, I understand. They are not going in because they believe everything in there is geared towards taking their life. Everything. It is breaking every usul. It is breaking every security rule. It is breaking everything that will help and aid the officer in preserving his life. That is what we are facing. That is the realities of what we are facing. A poor judiciary. Everything related to the prison is dysfunctional. But whenever something happens, only one entity gets the blame. Only one entity, the prison officers on the ground, are there to shoulder all the blame for a dysfunctional system that he or she don't have the resources to fix. The state has the resources, and it's the state that is refusing to treat to the environment. How can we support a minister who is not bringing any positive benefit, who is not helping in the motivation of staff, who is not helping in the overall objectives of the prison service, and by extension, the nation at large. How can we support him? How can we support him? We will continue to call for the removal of Mr. Hines till these issues are properly addressed.
Has the association, because you're president of the association that negotiates for and supports officers, had conversations with the Commissioner of Prisons in terms of his dealings with the Minister of National Security to have these issues resolved?
The Commissioner of Prisons is powerless. Let me tell you what is happening with the prison administration at this present point in time. The senior most person in the prison administration at this point in time is the rank of a superintendent. Right? We have no senior superintendents in the prison at this time, confirmed senior superintendents. We have no confirmed assistant commissioner of prisons at this point in time. We have no confirmed deputy commissioner of prisons at this point in time, and no commissioners. No commissioner. Right now, that up there, that scenario up there is chaotic. It is chaotic. And the Public Service Commission who has to own the blame for that. Because we have a service running almost on automatic pilot. People are filling vacancies on acting appointments. Right? Some of whom, if they don't do the government biddings, well, it will appear, if they don't do the government biddings, they will be fearful of falling through the cracks.
You mentioned a while ago that officers are... Saron, you mentioned a while ago that officers are not presenting themselves. I don't know if for duty is the term. What does that mean?
I'm going to investigate that. I'm made to understand that.
But what does it mean? What are you investigating?
They presented themselves for duty. However, was made to understand that they are not going into a particular division. They are presenting
why is that?
On the station because of the threats and the issues related to those
concerns.
Section, and the fact that they believe that the prison administration and by extension the government is doing nothing to alleviate the issues, the serious issues that are life-threatening to the core inside of that division.
Does that create a security risk in that division?
It will always create a security risk when there are no officers in any division. I'm saying the prison administration and by extension the government has to treat with those issues because it is easy to predict. It is easy to predict that at some point in time, it is easy to predict that officers will be fed up, they will be frustrated, and they will be unable.
If it is that so many positions, but Saron, you've indicated so many positions that are not filled or being filled by acting appointments, but some are not being filled at all. And you're saying...
No. All of them are being filled with acting appointments.
All are acting appointments. Is this customary or is this an unusual situation?
Well, this situation that we are facing is unheard of any time in the prison service, where a superintendent is now acting commissioner. This is unheard of. This is new territory. This is uncharted territory for the prison service. It is the most demotivating. It is creating a level of instability in the prison service that could impact negatively on national security. And you have a minister sitting down there. You have the director of personal administration sitting down there. You have the board of directors of the Public Service Commission sitting down there. And you have the president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who's supposed to monitor and ensure that things go right with that board sitting down there. Everybody sitting in their lawyers watching this situation happening. They develop. They are the authors of this situation.
Saron, the officers have died. And you say threats continue against officers, so much so that officers refuse to go into a particular division.
That is what I was made to
understand. What is the prison leadership saying about this?
I don't know. You will have to call him and ask him. I don't know.
So you're not having conversations about him on this?
We have to have a face-to-face meeting. I'm inbound to Trinidad. I'm in Tobago, inbound to Trinidad. After which we set up the necessary meetings to treat with that incident. I'm going straight to the heart of that incident right now.
How long has this incident or this lack of being able to
Some
go into
days,
this particular?
some days now. Some
Oh,
days
just
now.
some days. Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, I know many times we have spoken to you over the years, Sarah, and there are many times.
Unfortunately, about the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
And there are
about
many
the same
times,
thing.
you have been demotivated and frustrated in terms of the conversations we have with you concerning the Trinidad and Tobago prison service. You seem extra frustrated this morning in terms of the conversation.
Because we are not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Mr. Fitzgerald Hines is not treating, he's not performing, and he's not treating with the issues that are very dear and very serious, that have serious implications for prison officers. And chief among those issues are safety and security. And why would I sound frustrated? Because it is the one issue that is tantamount to creating real chaos in the prison service. Officers die as a direct result of not treating with that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, what is the way forward at this point? I know you say you're planning to have an in-face meeting
The
with
way
the commission.
forward at this point in time is to appeal to the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It's a totally appeal to him, to bend down on our knees and beg the Prime Minister to have Mr. Fitzgerald Hines removed from that position and put somebody else who is willing to take up the challenge.
If Minister Hines indicates that he's willing to meet with the association, would you meet with him?
Well, we have met with Minister Hines several times, and all the ministers seem to be doing is talking. He's good at talking. Even though if he have to respond to me now, he's very good at talking. And he's being renowned and well recognized as a decorated talker and not a doer. We'll always want to meet. We will always want to meet. We are not motivated to meet with him. We are not motivated to meet with him, and we would have expected that sometime in the past. But there's always hope. So we want to meet. But at the end of the day, our hopes will not be too high as with regard to resolutions after all this talking and ranting. Because that is all Mr. Fitzgerald seems to be doing. Talking. He loves to talk. He multiply, divide, add, subtract, and behind the equal sign is still among to the same damn talk.
Yeah. Will you be willing to take some calls, Sarah, or you prefer not to?
Well, I have no problem if you so wish.
Yeah, so we can open up our lines at this point, and I know there are retired prison officers who listen to the program and who may have an opinion on this entire issue. But 222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-8255. And of course, I'm North Americans, 866-525-1099. We are speaking with Sarah Richards, who's no stranger to the program, on the problems and demotivation within the Trinidad and Tobago prison service. What is there any update on that virtual facility that's being built outside of remand?
Paul, Steve.
This is Richard.
Richard, that facility has been under construction for the past 10 years.
Yep.
That facility is in the exact state that it is in right now, which is just a shell of a building for the past 6 or 7 years. Nothing is going on there. I cannot respond to that. That is for the minister and the judiciary to respond to.
All right.
That is one of the demonstration of games people play.
All right. We have a call, sir. And good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Grandy.
And a special good morning to Sharon. I want to compliment you for the stance that you have been taking.
I'm barely hearing the caller.
Yeah, you need to speak up a little bit, Grandy, for me.
Junior officer.
He wants to commend you. I'm sorry. All right. Thank you, Grandy. All the best to you. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Sharon, I'm hearing the passion in your voice and I'm feeling the pain because it's not the first, second, third time I'm hearing you with the same appeals. Well, I have a question for you, Mr. Seren, because 2 prison officers died, was murdered, with fuels in the possession. Do you really feel that having a fire would solve or protect servicemen, or with that evidence that we have? One was washing the car with the gun inside the house, and another one, unfortunately, was killed with his child with a firearm. And the other question is, I hope the prison service is looking after this child and making sure she's well.
Well, I was going to ask an additional question to that. What is officers who are in the service killed while in the line of duty or because of their role as a prison officer eligible for any funding like the police had been in the past?
Well, that is, I just want to address the caller first. When we ask for safety and security for prison officers, firearm is just but one part. We ask for a total approach, a 360-degree approach to treating with that will incorporate a number of different things, inclusive of legislation, inclusive of
Thank you, caller.
at their homes, that security situations and so on. So it's not one thing. But I'm saying we try to deal with everything, and we would have put forward what we want from the minister, and over time we haven't gotten the response. For example, I'll give a classic example. We would have brought to this government already a deal that we signed with the digital company for security facilities, and I don't want to describe exactly what it is, but for security facilities, right, that was being made available for prison officers on a large scale, right, that would have not only aided prison officers, but it would have aided the citizenry at large. Because of how it would have been applied, citizens anywhere prison officers reside would have benefited tremendously from it. It was a modest appeal, right, involving some part payment by the government, and the government refused. The government never took us on. They told us they're going to treat with it, right? They even came to the parliament and saying that they have things that come in that they will treat with, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. So it's not for want of trying, and we would have been trying a number of different things, because a 360-degree approach we have to implement or pursue for safety and security. Now, the question you asked, Paul, you asked the question. Could you repeat the exact nature?
The question is, police officers at a point in time were eligible for $1 million if officers died in the line of duty, I think was the prerequisite.
Yes, prison officers are eligible as well, and our circumstances are a bit different. We, prison officers, by history, do not die. It's only 2 prison officers since I've known the service that died on the job itself, were killed on the job. Prison officers are killed as a direct result of performing their legitimate duties. In other words, they are threatened, they're performing their jobs, and then in the public space, when they are out with their families and so on, or they're out in public spaces, they meet their demise as a direct result of performing their legitimate duties. And yes, we have benefited. I know of 2 officers, I think, that benefited from it, but I know of no other. And we have had over 20-something killings of prison officers within a short decade or so, and that represents the highest of any prison officer killings or correctional killings any part of the world. Any part of the world, we are leading the pack.
All right, we have a call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I want to find out from Mr. Richard if the prison officers ever ask for a night pass to go home and rest comfortable and return for their 6 o'clock duty.
I don't Paul, he's sounding very low.
Yeah, he's asking if any of the officers ask for a night pass to go home and sleep to come back in for their 6 o'clock duty.
Well, Paul, I cannot properly account. Of course, there are instances where prison officers.
Go ahead.
Of course, there will be prison officers, and based on how the batches are managed, they will have their maneuvering and so on. It is all within the course of their duty. I can't respond. I don't know what the caller is trying to extract from that. But of course, it is not a general rule. But batches and stations are managed in particular ways. that may have factions or elements of a number of different deployments.
All right, let's grab another call. Saran, good morning.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. A question for the President Richards. But before I do that, just in response to Senator Richards, my thing wasn't focused on the bail amendment, was on the dangerous guns, right? To CM Richards, the issue, I understand your thing with the health and safety, and I support you in that aspect. What I want to find out is what is the association views on their colleagues or rogue officers within the police service that are affiliated within the prison service.
Yeah.
Right? That are affiliated or possibly colluding with those criminals and posing a risk to their own colleagues themselves.
Our views on that are consistent and very clear. We are happy to see the backs of those officers, the extent to which information are being passed on by prison officers and other colleagues and other areas of national security in an effort to weed out. And you would appreciate, caller, that over the years you would have heard several prison officers being held and brought to justice. That is very prevalent. As a matter of fact, we are boasting as one of the few organizations that has rogue elements to be actually active in weeding them out. Because it is very common to hear a prison officer get intercepted and locked up or weeded out or brought before the courts for doing rogue things in the prison service. That is a very common phenomenon. We support the commissioner with that. We will continue to support him. That is aggressively being pursued. We do not have an issue save and accept. We want more and more, if there are others, to be held. So we can boast as being one of the few organizations in Trinidad and Tobago, because how much rogue organization you have been hearing about in Trinidad and Tobago. And look at the interception rate in terms of the ability of the administration and the government and the state to weed them out. I am saying we are well ahead of the pack in that regard.
All right, we have another call. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
Mr. Patrick, morning.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
The transporting of the prisoners and them. I can recall when they had an issue with transporting prisoners to the court. Sometimes they don't have no drivers and sometimes they don't have no vehicles.
That is not our job, sir. That is the police job. I am talking
right,
about
but they say now,
completely different.
No, they say the reason why they bring amalgamated security drivers to drive truck because they don't have no drivers and they don't have no vehicle. That's what I was saying, and I find that waste of time. Buy vehicle and get the prisoners of them. That's what I said.
Well, they don't intend to do that because they want to create the opportunity for that contract to continue.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. All right, we still have time to take a couple of calls again. 222-TALK, 612-TALK.
Of course, we are talking to Saran Richards, considering the issues ongoing in the Trinidad and Tobago prison service. Mm-hmm. And it's your opportunity to be interactive in the conversation. So 222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099.
Paul, not here. You're muted, Paul.
Saran, how difficult is it for an officer on a daily basis? I mean, as I indicated before, while police may be killed in the line of duty, prisons officers have been killed because they're prisons officers, whether they're on or off duty. And to me, that's frightening.
Well, it's a difficult thing. One has to actually be in that position to conceptualize or to understand the feeling of any prison officer within the prison system. You have to be there. It is something that is very difficult and challenging even to describe. You just have to be there.
And I guess because, shots have been fired at officers' homes, so their families are also in danger.
That's correct. So it is a very unsettling situation. And the thing, you have to be appreciative of the fact that while all that is going on, prison officers are still coming to work diligently every day to advance the interests of the state. Because we are patriotic. We give to the state as the state that is not responding positively to how we operate. Look at the conditions under which we work. Look at the spendings in the prison environment. Look at how monies and funds are being appropriated to the prisons. Look at the order of priority. Look at these issues. Imagine we are talking security in the nation's prisons. We are talking about issues, altercations. We are talking about trafficking. We want to weed out all these things from happening. But we do have a proper camera system.
I'm going to ask a question. Would it be
any part of the world?
You were talking about the condition of the dorms earlier on. Is it illegal to provide pictures of the dorm conditions or against regulations?
It's illegal to provide pictures without proper authority of any part of the prison.
Okay. Well,
it is illegal.
Why don't you seek the authority and provide the pictures?
Well, we can try that, but I am almost certain that they will not want John public to see it. Because I'll tell you this.
Why wouldn't the Commissioner of Prisons want the public to see according to you, the deplorable conditions that officers are operating on?
That's a question for the Commissioner of Prison, Paul. Paul, that is a question for the Commissioner of Prison.
We'll call him and ask him, because I want to see the conditions that you speak about.
Ask for a walkthrough.
But I can't walk through with a camera, so better you provide the pictures and done.
But Paul, I want to say this, we have reached an all-time low. When the Commissioner of Prisons could go to prison officers, right, and ask them to provide the funds to fix their dorms.
Describe for us then what the conditions are. Describe for us.
Do something. But it is another thing for the Commissioner of Prisons to go to officers asking for monies to fix a dormitory.
What are the gaps? Describe for us what you're facing in the dorms.
The dorm is totally in need of not only repair, but in need of appliances, furniture, and all these things. Officers just eat standing up. It's that bad. Officers just have to eat standing up. That's how bad the situation is at times. Officers can't get a proper night rest so that they could come back in the morning to fulfill their duties.
And this is a dorm at all the prisons or specific installations?
All of the prisons. Port of Spain prison. Paul, if you're going Port of Spain prison dormitory, is a sight to see. If you're going YTC dormitory, you're going maximum security prison. You're going all of those dormitories. Right? And what is the new modus operandi is to walk with a hat and beg officers to put up money to fix it, while the central government finding monies to deploy in places that we don't need it to the tune of millions. And officers seeing it. It's not to say something that is hidden. Officers are seeing the lack of priority. They are seeing it. So in other words, what officers are witnessing, that they are very low in the totem pole. Nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about them. We care about the people who already have finances. We care about the people who have the means to go and shop and go in a grocery. They could buy the whole grocery. But we are still fighting, looking for monies to put in their pockets. While even going by the CPO, we can't even get a reasonable offer that will reflect positively on what officers are facing, which is security challenges that need monies to mitigate, and also to feed and send their families to school and kids to school and feed them and so on.
Do officers' families still have to bring some food in some instances and supplies to the canteen for their inmates, for their family who are inmates?
I cannot speak to that. I cannot speak to what is happening exactly in there. I cannot speak to it. I'll be lying if I do. I have never researched that.
All right. Saren, thanks a lot. We're out of time. Appreciate the interview this morning.
Thank you, Saren Richards. Have a safe journey back to TNT, to Trinidad.
Recording stopped.
Thank you. All right. Of course, that was Saren Richards being our guest this morning. Let's get into our news brief. All courtesy Sham Florida Services.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Omicron subvariant BA.5, which is causing widespread infection across the globe, has now been detected in Trinidad and Tobago. Confirming this yesterday, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram said one case was detected last Friday. Speaking during